Hi, my name is Susie Wigham. I'm the designated safeguarding lead for the Brilliant Club. The aim of the session today is to make sure that you're all aware of the role that we all play in safeguarding children and young people. Safeguarding is everybody's responsibility, and everybody who works with the organisation needs to be aware of why it is important and what to do if you have concerns that a child might be in danger of abuse. This session covers important and sensitive content, so please do get in touch if you'd like to discuss any of the issues that we talk through today. There are 4 objectives for the session today. Number 1, to recognise the importance of safeguarding and understand key legislation. Number 2, to recognise the signs and indicators of the 4 main types of abuse. Number 3, to know what to do when you suspect a child or young person may be experiencing or is at risk of significant harm, or when a child makes a disclosure. And finally, to understand how to deliver online learning in a safe and responsible manner. The government safeguarding guidance called Keeping Children Safe in Education outlines 4 main areas of safeguarding: protecting children from maltreatment, preventing impairment of children's health or development, ensuring that children grow up in a safe environment and are effectively cared for, and taking action to enable all children to have the best outcomes. You might be wondering what the difference is between safeguarding and child protection. So safeguarding is the term used to cover all aspects of promoting a child's welfare, such as protecting a child from maltreatment, aiding their development, keeping them safe, and ensuring they can have the best possible outcome. Child protection is the single aspect of safeguarding children that is focused on protecting a child who is suffering from or has the potential to suffer from significant harm. And this can include maltreatment, abuse and neglect, premeditated abuse, a single traumatic event, or an accumulation of events that damage the child's physical and/or psychological development. We may never know how many children in the UK experience child abuse. It is often hidden from view. Adults in a child's life may not recognise the signs that they are being abused, and the child may be too young, too scared, or too ashamed to tell anyone what is happening to them. However, a recent report by the Office for National Statistics found that in England and Wales, 1 in 5 adults aged 18 to 74 years experienced at least one form of child abuse before the age of 16 years. This could have been emotional abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, or witnessing domestic violence or abuse. And that equates to 8.5 million people. Every single one of these cases of abuse is devastating for the child involved and could have lifelong consequences. It is essential that we remember the children who are at the heart of these cases. One instance of child abuse is one too many. One of the most well-known and horrific examples of child abuse is the case of Victoria Kalimbo. Victoria was born in the Ivory Coast and came to live in England with her great-aunt in April 1999. She was abused by her great-aunt and her great-aunt's boyfriend over a number of months. Up to her death, the police, the social services departments of 4 local authorities, the NHS, the NSPCC, and local churches all had contact with her and noted the signs of abuse. But nobody properly investigated the case, and little action was taken. As a result, a report was commissioned by Lord Laming, and this led to the Children's Act of 2004. As a result of the Children's Act, serious case reviews were introduced when a child has died or suffered significant harm due to abuse. They are carried out to ensure that improvements can be identified and action taken so that agencies work together more effectively to keep children safe. There are a number of key themes that have emerged from serious case reviews, and these include that child abuse is preventable, not inevitable. Safeguarding children is everybody's responsibility. Even though as a tutor you are not a member of the school staff, your role in safeguarding children is just as important. No single professional can have a full picture of a child's needs and circumstances. You may have one vital piece of evidence that can help create that full picture. It's important to have an attitude of "it could happen here." And finally, that early help is critical. Statutory guidance in each nation of the UK highlights the importance of providing early intervention rather than waiting until a child or family's situation escalates. Early help can offer children the support they need to reach their full potential. It can improve the quality of their home life and enable them to better perform at school and support their mental health. Research suggests that early help can protect children from harm, reduce the need for a referral to child protection services, and improve children's long-term outcomes. This is why it is so important that you pass on any concerns you have about a child, no matter how small. This can ensure that they get the support they need before the situation escalates and they are facing serious harm. There have been a number of key pieces of safeguarding legislation that have been implemented by the government since 1989. Please read the information on the following 4 slides to familiarise yourself with the key points. Keeping Children Safe in Education 2020 came into effect this September. The link at the bottom of the slide will take you to part 1 of the document. Please can you ensure that you have all read through this section. For those of you who are new to working with schools, you may be wondering what this means for you in your role as a tutor. There are a number of times and situations when you may develop concerns over a child's welfare when you're in your role as a tutor. These can include the behaviour of a pupil during a tutorial, concerning comments or references in homework assignments and the final assignment, correspondence over the VLE, either in the group chat or directly to you, or a pupil directly disclosing abuse to you. It's critical to remember that safeguarding is everybody's responsibility. It doesn't matter that you are not a member of the school staff. Early help and early intervention to address a child or a family's needs can make a significant difference to their outcomes. Your concern might seem small, but it could be a really important factor when looking at the whole picture of a child's welfare and situation. So if you do have any concerns, no matter how small, you must refer these to the school and to the Brilliant Club. We're now going to look at the signs and indicators of the 4 main types of abuse. There are 4 main types of abuse. Physical abuse is hurting a child through physical, violent, and aggressive means and is never accidental. It can include hitting, burning, or poisoning. Sexual abuse. When a child is sexually abused, it means that they may have been forced or manipulated into taking part in sexual activities. The exploitation of children sexually isn't always physical. It can happen online too. Emotional abuse. Emotional or psychological abuse is the sustained maltreatment or neglect of the emotional needs of a child. There are two main categories of emotional abuse. Passive emotional abuse is more subtle than active. This is when a parent or carer refuses to provide their child with the kind of emotional care they need. It may involve emotional unavailability, bad attitudes towards the child, a failure to recognise that they must support the child, using the child as a support mechanism for themselves, involving the child in tasks that they are not emotionally ready for, and a failure to encourage social engagement with peers. Active emotional abuse involves taking anger and frustration out on the child, expecting the child to meet the emotional needs of an adult, limiting opportunities for the child, expecting the child to take on responsibilities not appropriate for their age, being emotionally unavailable, and forgetting to provide the child with praise. And finally, neglect. Neglect is a persistent failure to meet the child's basic needs. There are four main forms of child neglect: emotional, medical, educational, and physical. Neglect is the most common form of child abuse. Children who are being neglected may not get the love they need, may not have adequate clothing, support, supervision, nourishment, and medical or health care. They may also suffer from other forms of abuse and may not be protected from physical and/or emotional harm. Children experiencing abuse often are subject to more than one form of abuse, and the signs can vary according to factors such as age. Also, children may not always disclose abuse, preferring to remain silent, so it's crucial to know the signs. Here are some specific examples of safeguarding issues. These demonstrate that child abuse can take many different forms. For example, domestic violence, peer-on-peer abuse, and honour-based violence. The indicators that abuse is happening can be very varied and can include the following: a child becoming secretive and reluctant to share information, a child reluctant to go home after school, eating or sleeping problems, changes in behaviour of a child, inappropriate language for the age of the child, becoming depressed or withdrawn, a child unable to bring friends home or reluctant for professionals to visit their family home, poor school attendance and punctuality, sudden changes in weight, a child looking unkempt, and bruises, skin sores, or repeated injuries. Now, of course, the child may be displaying one or more of these signs and might not actually be experiencing abuse. However, it's really important that tutors are aware of these signs and report them if they have any concerns at all. It might be nothing, but it could also be a really critical piece of information that, when added to other signs, creates a concerning picture that needs to be investigated further. We are now going to look at what to do when you suspect a child or young person may be experiencing or is at risk of significant harm, or when a child makes a disclosure. First of all, it's important to remember that many children don't disclose when they are suffering abuse. The reasons vary and can include that they may be feeling guilty or to blame, they may love the abuser and think the abuse is normal, they may be afraid of the consequences, they may worry that they won't be believed, they may not have the ability to speak out, they may be hoping that the abuse will stop, or they simply may never have been asked. This is why it is so important to pass on any concerns that you do have about a child, even if they haven't said something directly to you. However, it is also possible that a child will make a direct disclosure to you, and it is critical that you know the right steps to follow if that does happen. A disclosure is when a child or young person tells someone about abuse or neglect, so the action of making new or secret information known. Many times when a child or young person discloses, they won't always explain what it is outright. They might find other ways of letting you know. This could be through a story, a joke, a letter, a social media post, questions about things that they should not have knowledge of at their age, aggressive behaviour through play and role play, and inappropriate behaviour with other children or adults. If you have a safeguarding concern or a child makes a disclosure directly to you, you should contact myself in the first instance via the safeguarding email address or my mobile. If I am not available, Rosa Smith is our Deputy Safeguarding Lead for Children and Young People, and Kira Lynch is the Safeguarding Lead for other concerns. If you have a safeguarding concern when you are in school, you must tell the lead teacher or another member of staff immediately that you have a concern, but without revealing the details of that concern. They will then direct you to the designated lead for safeguarding in the school, and you must then follow the school's safeguarding policy. You must also inform me as soon as possible, and at the very latest within 24 hours. You must record all concerns on the safeguarding reporting form and, if appropriate, the body map. These can be found in our safeguarding policy. Please then share the reporting form with the safeguarding lead at the school and with myself. If you have a safeguarding concern when you are outside of the school, you must speak to a Brilliant Club member of staff immediately, again without revealing the details of the concern. You must then inform me as soon as possible and record all concerns on the safeguarding reporting form and the body map if appropriate, and share these with me immediately or within 24 hours at the very latest. I'm now going to talk you through what steps to take if a child makes a disclosure directly to you. All tutors should know what to do if a child tells them they are being abused. Dealing inappropriately with disclosures can result in a lack of trust, continued abuse, or the child withdrawing the disclosure. If a child discloses abuse, this may be the beginning of a legal process. Legal action against the perpetrator can be seriously damaged by any suggestion that the child was led in any way. If a child tells you that they are being abused, the first thing you must do is ensure that they are removed from immediate harm, and if necessary, call 999. Be supportive, listen carefully and reassure the young person that they have done the right thing. Make sure you understand what the young person is telling you. Use non-leading, open questions to clarify information. And on the next slide, I'll give some examples of the types of questions you can use. Never promise to keep a secret or maintain confidentiality. Explain what next steps you will be taking and let the young person know that you would need to share the information with the person who is responsible in the school for looking after the welfare of the pupils. When the young person has made the disclosure, you must then inform the designated safeguarding lead in the school and myself at the Brilliant Club immediately. Finally, you must make a written record as soon as possible, using the young person's words, phrases, and including dates and times. And this must be sent on both to myself and to the designated safeguarding lead in the school. As I said, it is critical that you respond to disclosures in a calm and appropriate manner. The child's welfare and interests must be the paramount consideration at all times. And remember, you're not investigating the abuse. Your aim is to gather enough information to clarify whether there is a safeguarding concern. You should not ask leading questions which could contaminate the evidence at a later point. Examples of leading questions include, "You've told me someone hit you. Was it your dad? I think you're trying to tell me that someone hurt you. Is that right? When you say she touched you, do you mean she touched your private parts?" Instead, you should ask open, non-leading questions in order to establish the child's story. Examples of the questions that you can use include, "You've told me someone hit you. Who did that? Can you tell me what happened? Can you describe where she touched you?" It is your responsibility to pass on any safeguarding concerns to myself and to the designated safeguarding lead in the school. It is not your responsibility to directly investigate the concerns yourself. If a referral is made by the designated safeguarding lead at the school, a social worker should acknowledge they've received it and make a decision about next steps in 1 working day. This will include determining if the child requires immediate protection and urgent action is required, if the child is in need and should be assessed, what services are required by the child and family, and what further assessments are required. For children who are in need of immediate protection, action must be taken as soon as possible after the referral has been made. The maximum time frame for the assessment to be concluded should be 45 working days from the referral. We're now going to look at safeguarding and online learning. It is possible that you may need to deliver your tutorials online, and it is essential that you understand how to do this in a safe and responsible manner. I'm now going to talk you through some steps to take before you start your online tutorial. Please find an appropriate private place to conduct the tutorial. Please also record your tutorials. We will be storing these in a confidential and safe place for 6 months. Instructions on how to use the record function will be provided. Pupils will need to enter a password to obtain entry to the tutorial. The waiting room functionality will be used so that only you can admit pupils. If anyone external gains virtual access, please remove them immediately and inform me straight after the tutorial. Please be aware that teachers may decide to join the tutorial and that parents may also be present in the room. Outside of the tutorial, please only contact pupils through the VLE. Do not at any point give out your email or your mobile number, and don't respond to pupils contacting you via email. A register should be taken at the outset of the tutorial and recorded in the VLE. Only Brilliant Tutoring Programme tutorials should have 1 pupil and 1 adult present. In the event that only 1 pupil joins an online Scholars Programme session, please end the session and contact your programme officer to reschedule. Any inappropriate comments or questions should be sent to me. Please either take a screenshot or write down a summary of the issue. And if a student suffers an emergency during the tutorial, please reassure them that they are able to leave the session straight away. If there is an immediate risk to the young person's safety or welfare, please stop the tutorial, call 999 and contact me. Thank you for taking part in the safeguarding training. As adults, protecting the welfare of children and young people is the most important thing that we can do. We all play a vital role in protecting young people and enabling them to have the best possible outcomes in life. So please do remember these 4 key points. First of all, everybody is responsible for safeguarding. Secondly, it's important to maintain an attitude of it could happen here. And your responsibility is to refer concerns, not to investigate them. But please do remember that it's essential to report any concerns, no matter how small they may seem. Your concern could play a vital role in preventing a young person from coming to harm. Thank you.